So welcome everybody, and welcome back to one of my kit review. I don't make so often kit reviews on this channel, but because I think that there is already everything online, and you can find probably better sources than me about just making a review about the plastic kits on the market, available on the market recently or in this moment. So I just prefer to make a kit review when it is about some vintage items or some special stuff that is probably not so easy to find around. So if you need an opinion by my side, here I am. So here we go, and this is a Special Hobby 148 model of the mighty Viggen. Viggen was a Swedish, they call it Stor Viggen, big Viggen it is. And this is the box dedicated by Special Hobby. Special Hobby made, I think it's stuff for 4 or 5 years ago. Right now, I completely lose the meaning of the time. I don't know if they placed a here around the box. Nope. Just something written in Czech and in English, the typical disclaimer. But there is not the year of the production of this model, neither in the instruction. So what happens? It happens that I've been recently to the most important Swedish exhibition of modeling that have been made in a new location. The Swedish reality about modeling, and I love when I can to match to them, because they are incredibly skilled modelers. So in this type of contest, you can have the possibility to see what they are building around you, and also in a country like Sweden, there is so many skilled modelers. I say also in a country like Sweden because you don't hear about them so often. They are very very particular modelers. I know several of them from the automotive and the car modeling world. Lars, the other guy from Globo, and many others that I met during the exhibition. They are a very interesting group, and basically extremely skilled modelers. So it happens that they make this competition around exactly like our Novegro in September. They make it in the beginning of every year in September. That is named the Art in Miniature, Art Miniature Göteborg. That is the place where it is referred to, because we are in the area of Gothenburg city. And until the last year, that it was 2022, they had another location. I think it was Molndal. It was a part of Göteborg city, I think in the south of the city, quite ordinary location. It was the typical location for modeling contest. Instead, since this year, this is something that happened in 2023. I'm making this model in September 23 as soon as I get the kit, and they get a new location that is amazing, because this is the Aeroseum Aircraft Museum, named aeroseum.se. You can find the website of this amazing museum. That is, in my opinion, one of the nicest museum about Air Force, and even more for a country like Sweden. They are incredible, because I like the Swedish Air Force so much, because they were the only one able not to buy stuff from Americans, the typical F-16, or to make the consortio like Italians did with Eurofighter for the Tornado, and so on. They were constantly building up by their own planes. So they were amazing. They made, since that one, that will be another very interesting gem, the J-29 Tunnan. They were incredible because they were able to develop very great quality planes, like before the Draken was Saab Draken, followed by the Saab Viggen. Before there was the Saab Larsen, the first version that was similar to a T-33 trainer plane, but it was not at all a trainer. And recently they made the Gripen, the JAS-39 Gripen, that is sometimes flying over my head here in my little in my little studio that I have here in Sweden. And it's very nice, because as soon as I hear the sound of the Gripen, I really jump up from the window, and I want to see it flying, and I see this triangle black flying in the sky. So for me, they are amazing items. You know, I am a plane guy, so I love this stuff. You know, and inside this museum they had several example of this plane that was the Saab viggen. The Saab viggen was a plane used by the Swedish Air Force until the beginning of the 2000 or the year 2000. I think they give up with the planes in 2007, 2008, something like that, you know. But the plane was extremely mighty because always remember that the Saab viggen was the only plane in the world able to make a air interception of the incredible SR-71, the Blackbird. This was the only one able to pursue in the sky the Blackbird, you know. And you also can see from the type of plane, you know, when you see in the museum, it was incredible because you see those planes. I placed several pictures of the experience I had in the Air Force Museum in Seve. It was the location of the old Ryanair airfield, you know. Then they had probably to give up with the ordinary commercial planes because the area is extremely windy. So it's very, very easy to have, I had some interesting experience in taking off and landing from this airport. You know, it's exactly in the area where I live. From my house here, the Seve airport, call it the city airport, they call it, because Seve is written with some of the their letters, you know, like this Ö, that is something that have to be pronounced in the Swedish language. I am terrible in Swedish talk, so I will never talk my Swedish because then people run away if I talk. But they give up with this area for the commercial planes because it was extremely windy, so it was extremely also not so well organized. You see, that was basically a military plane or aeroclub plane. If you hear from this video, you hear this sound loud in the sky. I hope you can hear from the telephone. There is anyway an amateur plane flying over here every day, you know, and somebody coming exactly from this place. And in this exhibition, I had the opportunity to find this gem. This was a gem because this is a twin-seater Saab viggen, you know, in 1/48 scale. It was Special Hobby made this model after the only effort to try to make this before, that was made by Aishi in the 80s, you know. The mold from Aishi that you can currently find into the Italeri catalog, it is absolutely garbage in my opinion, because, I mean, the shape is probably taken. I don't know really. I built that model when I was in the high school, neither before the high school, in the basic school, you know, and it became really, really garbage, you know. It became really, really bad. The fitting was terrible, horrific, I dare to say. There was absolutely no detail for the cockpit, no detail for the landing gears. All the weapons were crap, you know, the typical the bad quality of the bad models of the Aishi. As I told you in many other videos, Aishi had, I worked with them in the 80s, so I know how it works. And they had this point that they commit models from Asia, and what arrived in Italy at the time in Cernusco sul Naviglio, you never know what it was. Years later, we discovered that part of the molds were made by the company Asegava, and for example, molds like the MB326, you see the finally engraved line, completely recessed and really well done, you know. Then other models like this viggen, unfortunately, was not this box. I mean, the Aishi Italeri box. It was completely crap, you know. What Italeri did, and was quite interesting, you know, it was to provide many new decal versions, you know, and I took them. They make something like the Sundowners version for the gray planes, you know. The viggen had also a critical point in the building. Not only the model from Aishi was crap, but was also extremely difficult because of the characteristic paint that often the viggen had. This art box showed the plane in gray, so it was the following paint scheme that the viggen had in the 90s and in the early 2000s, you know. But the viggen was famous to have that typical green splinter schema all over the plane that was extremely scary for any modeler, you know. Then I found a couple of guys that made very nice model, despite they started from the ENG Kit, but the overall look of the paint in camouflage was anyway amazing, was anyway really well done. So the viggen have to be made in the forest scheme, in the brown and several green versions of schema, you know. I took this model for a bargain price because it was coming as a second-hand model from a collector, quite skilled Swedish modeler from the local EPMS. Rickard, I salute him. I think he will never see my videos, but if he do, I salute him, and I still thank you for the model. And this is referred to a gem, like we say, because this is the twin-seater viggen that was quite rare, you know. It was rare in reality, and But you see the top speed, despite written, there is also in English, maximum speed. I mean, it's big stuff, it's this is a big number, and the plane was extremely big, 16-meter like a plane, so it's very heavy. It was extremely powerful to see in reality. What is impressive in the Viggen, it is the motor, because also in the museum they scheduled a visit on the Viggen. I think it's absolutely worth it. The price of the museum is a little bit expensive because I think it's settled at today. I talk in 2023, we are talking of 130 Swedish kronor, that is about 12 euro or 13 euro depending from the exchange when you cross the area here. But it's absolutely worth the visit, so remember the website is aeroseum.se to visit the museum, because it's absolutely worth it. I mean, if you like it, is incredible, and the museum is absolutely unique. Just to finish about the museum, about the location of the modeling contest where we had this competition, because it's inside the mountain, so you go deep inside the mountain, inside a very, very big air base, deep inside the mountain, so with the creepy area of a mountain, the scary area of something built up for the Cold War. So it's impressive really to be inside there. Talking about the model, what we can say is the classical special hobby model. So you have a very, very nice recessed line, a very, very nice decal sheet. Of course, they provide basically the gray version, but also there is a couple of decals for the typical green Viggen, with typical of the twin seater with the day glow of the trainers. Probably this was a mark used for the trainers. Day glow color is an orange, bright orange, that also they use it over the our G91 Fiat trainer, the T version, and what to say, the model is absolutely well done. In this box, despite the first box I already collected one model from Special Hobby, I think it was the first release, and they made, because this arrived in different version, there was also another company, I think it was Tarangus model, that was basically selling the same identical stuff like Special Hobby does, with a different firm, and being Tarangus a Swedish firm, you will find it probably around with a slightly higher price, so it was better to search for the original Special OP model. In the first box that I had anyway, there was a quite huge amount of resin and details for this part. Basically it is this because the Special Hobby group is anyway based over the MPM, so it is the same company working with the CMK company and so on, and you will find basically that sort of detail if you need to add them. So it's quite basically because the kit is already really well done, so the cockpit is very well detailed. You can find the seatbelt molded in resin with the seat belts on. This is always interesting, it is a special ejection seat for the Viggen. Some of the shield that they use, the I don't know how to explain that in English, but it is when they close the engine to have the power to stop the plane quicker, As all the Swedish plane, also this was able to take off and landing from ordinary roads. And it happened to me to cross several parts in Sweden when you see these mysterious long and wide straight lines for cars, Also in Gotland I found this, in the middle of Gotland, and you clearly see that it is an airfield because it's long, for example, 3 to 4 kilometers. There is the parking lot in the side, there is some square where a plane can absolutely move, and then there is some mysterious road that goes inside the forest or deep inside mountains where they used to hide the planes in an hypothetical warfare scenario that, thanks God, never happens, As I say, the model is absolutely well done. What is extremely interesting for me in this Viggen version is not only that you have the possibility to build it up like the twin-seater, version, the trainer version, but of course inside the box, and this is extremely interesting, you have all the parts. Tento till nepuzlit, do not use this part. As you see, you have all the parts to build up also the single-seater version, this part, as well as the double canopy version. There is the fin of the single seater plus the correct fin for the twin seater that is different in shape and dimensions. The same it happens from the canard wings in the front, that in the other version are slightly different. There is all the modifications, basically the two different molds parts for the Viggen is this 2-1, you know, where you can choose to make the twin-seater version. I want to see that because, of course, they also provide a photo etched set inside the model. Usually that is in the reverse part of the decal sheet behind there, closed in plastic, and very, very nice idea to seal them in plastic so you will not scratch that during the time you will not use it for the assembly. And that's it. The plane is absolutely big and mighty and impressive, and I really would like that I hope that I will have the time to build it up in the proper Swedish version. For now I collect 2 viggen. I have one in Italy now, and one I will keep it here in Sweden, with the idea to build them up in some version. I also took the extra decal sheet from Italeri for the Sundowners version, you know, the one with the rising sun, similar to the F-14 VF-111, the Sundowners, so using the Tomcat and the Phantoms, you know, and the Swedish made something similar also there. This is the schema, as I said before, you know, with all the colors referred to the camouflage scheme. That is the typical Swedish stuff. Viggen is this one, in my opinion, exactly this version. They also suggest correctly the Gunzesangyo color that I use, as you can see all over there. That's it. The only negative point of this model is that usually you can find that quite expensive around. I find this for 400 Swedish kronor, and for me it was a bargain price. I remember that the single-seater version, as soon as it arrived on the market, I paid not nearly double, but around 60 euros completely, you know, little more resin inside, little more detail, but not worth it so much more, you know. The version is basically this. If I knew that I could find this box a couple of years later than the first edition that I took, I will absolutely wait for it, but I did not. And that's it. So if you can find it, if you can collect them, also if you like twin-seater planes and so on, this is absolutely a gem. It's something that you have to absolutely have in your own collection. Mighty plane of a mighty Air Force that I just touched recently for real, and it was honestly impressive. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next.